Right, good afternoon, councillors, members of the public and officers. Welcome to County Hall for the meeting of full council on the 18th of March. I would like to remind you all that this meeting is live on the council's YouTube channel. And before we go into this afternoon's proceedings, there are a few housekeeping matters I would like to bring to members' attentions. I would like to remind members and officers to stand when they are speaking in the chamber if you are able. And as with previous meetings, I've given the option to those speaking on the dais to remain seated. As the leader said, you make a smaller target when you're sitting down. Please may I remind members, officers, including the press and public that are in attendance today, that all my mobile phones should be placed in silent and no calls should be received in the chamber during the meeting. Can I also remind members that any speeches must be limited to 3 minutes and directed to the item or question under discussion. There will be an exception to this when the leader of the council lays the budget, which we did last month, where any following speeches should be limited to 6 minutes, but we don't need to do that. I won't hopefully need to call for a comfort break today because I've been told there's a football match on tonight, so I think a few of you were willing to get away. And Councillor Jackson, obviously the way he's dressed, is ready to go on his holidays and with his summer shirt on.
I think we can just go straight to page 3.
Yeah. Right. Could we go to item 1 on the agenda, apologies for absence? Karen? And Councillor Dunn? Councillor Pierre? Councillor Davidson?
Yes. Yes.
Any others? Yes.
Councillor Fairless-Aitken.
And Councillor Sanderson, did you have one?
Yes, we have Councillor Thorne and Councillor Castle.
Sorry, Councillor Kennedy?
Councillor Christine Taylor.
Yes, Councillor?
Councillor Iskar Nevin.
Yep, we've got that one already.
Richard.
Oh, Richard, sorry.
Councillor Vaughan, who asked me to say that he may be running late and so, but may not make it.
Right, okay. Have you got all of those, Karen? Thank you. Item 2 on the agenda, minutes of the meeting of the County Council held on the 18th of February 2026 are circulated to be confirmed as a true record. These are on pages 9 to 32. Can we confirm these as a true record? Thank you. Disclosures of members' interests. No disclosures. Excellent. Announcements by the chair, leader or head of paid services. I'm going to go to the leader first. Councillor Sanderson.
Thank you very much. Yes, there is a tremendous football match tonight involving Newcastle but not Sunderland. We have recently just won 2 national awards for our work with QTS Blackstone at Camas, and also last week a national award for the Northumberland line work. Some of you may have managed to go. I know I saw some of you there at the Festival of Energy in Blythe, which attracted 25,000 people, and I'm really grateful to Wendy Scott in particular, but others who made that such an incredibly important event. We will soon be opening the Northumberland line station at Bedlington, which will leave some of us with less to argue and be difficult about. But I'm sure that won't stop that particular member. But it's great, but actually it's not the end of the line. It's not the end of the line, because I'm pleased to say that yesterday at the Necker cabinet meeting, there was agreement that we will get those extra carriages very soon, which is really important. We have £450,000 for a feasibility study to begin work on an extension of the Northumberland line, and the Mayor shares my ambition to see a beginning of a planning application in 2028 for that extension to take place. So I'm very grateful for that support, and it's been really important. So I'm very pleased that our staff have helped us so much, not only with the national awards that I talked about, but also getting us to where we are now with the Northumberland line.
Thank you for that, Councillor Sanderson. I haven't really got a lot. There was one which you can put in your diaries, please. One of my last events at County Hall is the 24th of April. We have the excellent Ashington Male Voice Choir. It's always an excellent evening. I think the tickets are only about £10, but you get food and drink for that as well. So please put that in your diary. There is our last of this year citizenship tomorrow in this chamber, which is always a really good event. It's one of my favourite events of the year. It's the 8th one I think we've had this year, which is excellent. Right, public questions. We have received one question from the public, and I'm looking to see if the gentleman is here, Mr. Thomas. No. We've been in contact with Mr. Thomas. If he couldn't make it, I said I would read the question out because I think it's an interesting question for members, and also the answer is, and this is to the leader of the County Council. What are the plans for the former council offices in Bedlington, as this site has remained vacant since 2015 and now is looking run down? Councillor Sanderson.
Thank you. Do you want me to read out the written answer, Mr. Chairman?
Well, either that. You can do, yes, because we will also send this to Mr. Thomas as well. Okay,
so the answer in a nutshell is that we have reviewed the future use of that building. Now it's been vacated, and there are a number of options for it, which we're looking at seriously, and we will involve local members, of course, as that progresses. Meantime, I can tell you that I'm delighted that there is going to be a new development in Bedlington, which local members have been told about, and was in the press yesterday, which I'm very, very pleased to see. And long may Bedlington continues to flourish, is what I say. Yeah.
There's a slight delay in that response, Councillor Robinson. Thank you for that, Councillor Sanderson, and we will send off a written response to Mr. Thomas. Now we move on to item 6 on the agenda, which is members' questions. We have 4 questions submitted. We have 20 minutes allocated for this session, so hopefully we should get through the questions in time. The first question is from Councillor Peart to Councillor Mather. Councillor Peart.
In light of the extensive Energise and Blythe regeneration and an anticipated increase in visitors and commuters via the new Northumberland line and expansion transport links, has the Council conducted an assessment on the town's current public amenities, specifically sanitisation facilities, to ensure they are sufficient to support the projected growth in footfall?
Thank you, Councillor Peart. Councillor Mather.
Thank you, Councillor Peart, for your question. Unlike a great many of councils, we are bucking the national trend by committing over 1.5 million over the past 3 years to deliver public transport improvement programme across the county, with a further 1.56 million being included in our current medium-term financial plan capital programme to ensure that work continue over the next 3 years. On Blythe Marketplace, the public toilets have been fully refurbished, as well as the new Market Pavilion Cinema and Events Centre featuring toilet facilities. Blythe has a good network of public toilet provision to serve both the local community and the visitors. We work closely with the Town Council and other key stakeholders to plan and develop amenities to serve the public within the budgets available, and we will continue to do so.
Thank you, Councillor Mather. Councillor Peart, do you have a supplementary?
Yes. So we're having 2 new train stations, a whole lot of cycle routes which has come in, and we'll be running bus services from the bus station at Blythe Centre to Bebside Station and Newsham, can we have a commitment for to have some public facilities, either going from Blythe on the cycle route to Seaton Sluice, or can we have public toilets at the train stations?
Councillor Mather.
What I can commit to is coming and meeting yourself, and let's have a look at the sites that you're talking about. And like I say, we'll be working within the budget that we've got. So I'm more than happy to work with you on that, Councillor Burt.
Thank you, Councillor Mather. The second question is from Councillor Baker. It was to the leader, but the cabinet member is Councillor Stewart. Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Chair. The police are seeking a local authority, or PSPO, public spaces protection order for the Mermaid car park in Blythe to tackle rogue owners and their vehicles from making local residents' lives a misery. The granting of this order would allow the police to end the vehicle revving, street racing, speeding, excessive loud music and horn sounding, stunt driving, donuts, not the eating kind, bad language, littering, and more importantly, the organisers of the event, which usually meet during these unsociable hours. Now, I am aware of an existing summertime PSPO at Blythe Beach for the controlling of dogs and their feckless owners. This has proved very successful. The police, local residents and businesses require the same level of success in this matter too. So my question is this: will NCC support Operation Dragoon in Blythe to give our police the resource it so desperately seeks to curb this blight? Thank you.
Councillor Baker. Councillor Stewart.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor Baker, for your question. We always support the police colleagues, and we're working with them to gather evidence required to assess whether it's feasible for a PSPC in the area. Several weeks ago, I met the local member for that part of Blythe, Councillor Carr, at the Mermaid car park, and I know we're progressing investigations with the local police senior officers and some others, as well as other partners, to move this forward.
Thank you, Councillor Stewart. Councillor Baker, would you like a supplementary question?
Yes, please. Thank you. So, just following on from that, you've had conversations about this. Specifically, a PSPO order operates at a much lower level. So the idea of asking for this order is that the police can tackle this with fines as well as the Section 59 level of order they currently have. What they're worried about is not being able to sit on the offenders and police them in a waiting car, only for them to drive off and for the fuel to carry on after they've gone. This PSPO order would, if he accepted, would help enormously with tackling it at a much lower level.
Councillor Baker, we need a question.
Would you reconsider to have it at a much lower level with a PSPO?
Thank you, sir. Councillor Baker. Councillor Stewart.
Yes, thank you. There's all options are available, being discussed at the moment. I have a meeting on Friday with the Police and Crime Commissioner, who I know is really disappointed about the level of support they got from national government, the funding, as we did for our council as well. We had some fantastic officers who would have supported this scheme, but unfortunately, the future of those officers and the scheme and Project Shield is in doubt because of the lack of funding. But we will be progressing various options in that area, and I'll be in contact with Councillor Carr. I've already made arrangements to see him at the weekend about this.
Thank you, Councillor Stewart. Councillor Hill, your question to the leader, please.
Thank you, Chair. To the leader, do you feel that you have a constructive working relationship with the county's 4 members of Parliament, which helps advance the interests of our residents?
Thank you, Councillor Hill. Councillor Sanderson.
Yeah, thank you very much. So being the leader of a council means that you have to come into contact with many different leaders and organisations, community groups, businesses. And I'm pleased to say that those relationships are always very cordial, built upon trust and respect. And I would say that the relationship I have with the Mayor and the leaders of the local councils around involved in Necker is also very cordial, and I am grateful for that. Our politics are very different, but we share the same ambition for our counties, councils and the region. I would put Ian Lavery in that same category. I think this is a man who cares deeply for his area, and we share a very good relationship, I'm pleased to say. I can say that Emma Foodie is doing a good job in helping us with our campaign to see the Moor Farm roundabout work done, and I'm grateful to Emma for that. And of course, David Smith has received a number of requests for assistance to help us to get the Department of Education to fund what they really ought to be funding and making that contribution towards the new Berwick Schools project. We will continue to work with David, and I've just this week written to Bridget Phillipson to seek that meeting for that. And I can say in conclusion that the MPs in the county have asked for 1,069 requests for help. They've been given that at no charge.
Thank you, Councillor Sanson. Councillor Hill, do you have a supplementary?
Yes, thank you. That all sounds very grown up and constructive. Two very quick follow-up questions. Firstly, do you feel that you have a relationship where you could express any concerns that people in Northumberland and elsewhere might have about the government, particularly some rather sinister and worrying issues around freedom of speech, blasphemy rules by the back door and getting rid of jury services? Do you have that kind of relationship where you can express those concerns? And just as well, you seem to mention 3 of the county's MPs. I've got a bit of a cold, my brain's not working very well, but I think you've mentioned 3, not 4, so just wondering why that is.
Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Hill. Councillor Sanderson.
Thanks. So on the first point, I wrote to the Chancellor 10 days ago or so on, when the first implications of the fuel rise in kerosene, heating oil and gas oil for farmers and fishermen. And I was very pleased that there has been some movement on that. I'm less pleased, though, to be fair, that a whole raft of people who have worked all their lives, they've built up a small pension, but aren't in that lower bracket, so-called lower bracket of the less well-paid. But they need help on the cost of their heating oil just as much as those who are considered to be eligible. So I think the eligibility is rather soured, that announcement, although I do welcome it, of course, for those people in the county who will be eligible. Turning to the other Member of Parliament, I have to say that for the last few months, there have been a number of statements made that have not been hugely helpful for relationships. And I think all members will probably be aware of a number of those kind of comments, the last one last week in the House of Commons. I think it's regrettable, Councillor, when you have a situation when we're all trying to work together for the benefit of all our residents, to criticise the County Council for the sake of it, because it's considered to be a political point. And I hope very much that that will stop. And I'm actually going to meet him. I'm driving over 100 miles to see him tomorrow to try and make sure that we all understand each other better. The thing about criticising the County Council and the services are clear. You don't just criticise the council for the political element, but you criticise the very people who are delivering the services that you are criticising. And I think that's always very regrettable. So I'm hoping that we can understand each other better and move forward together for the people that we represent.
Thank you for that, Councillor Sanson. Fourth and final question, Councillor Swinhoe. Again, this was to the leader, but it goes to Councillor Mather, who's Cabinet Member.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Mather. Can you agree residents deserve a better service on pavement repairs? The use of tarmac and concrete to infill on repairs looks unsightly. Can this council start making like-for-like repairs and give residents a better standard. Would you agree when a payment gets lifted by utility companies, a standard should also be adhered to? Is this council also receiving any remuneration or holding any monetary guarantee in case workmanship does not meet the required standard from utility companies? When council repair payment, a standard like-for-like finish would be advantageous, so the temporary job isn't attended twice.
Thank you, Councillor Swinhoe. Councillor Mather.
Thank you, Councillor, for your question. We know pavements are very important to our residents. That's why we've allocated £3 million within our local transport plan for 2026-27 to 28-29 for footways. We've also allocated a further £4 million from our own funds to deliver an enhanced maintenance programme for U and C roads and footways. We remain committed to improving the overall condition of our footway network, and we do and will continue to hold utility companies to account for the standards of their reinstatements of roads, footpaths, bearing in mind the limitations in the legal framework for doing this.
Thank you, Councillor Mather. Councillor Swinhoe, have you a supplementary question?
Yes, thank you very much for that information. Would the Chamber agree if we had an area in the foyer where we could display photographs of different things, or maybe get in touch with staff better than the way we are getting in touch with staff? We could get our point across easier. Thank you.
Is there a question there? I'm not sure if I heard a question.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Swinhoe. I would say my door's always open. So if you have an area of specific issue, please contact myself, and I'm more than happy to get the correct officer to speak to you rather than trying to present something in a foyer. I'd rather build that personal relationship and deal with the problems directly. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mather. Okay, we now move on to item 7 on the agenda, which is a report of the Leader of the Council, the corporate plan for 2026 to 2030. Before I will bring the Leader in to propose the recommendations, Councillor Sanderson.
Thank you, Chairman. The report and the plan is there. We were keen that it should be included with the papers to give you plenty of time to look at it and read through it. But actually, this plan has been built by yourselves because you have had input into developing what are our new corporate aims that we can all together deliver. Political parties will not differ, I'm sure, in wanting to deliver the very best that we can in the ways that are most important to the residents that we all respect and work for. So this plan replaces the previous one, and I'm pleased to say that all the aims that we had in the previous one have been met, and that's been quite some feat. This one talks about those key ambitions that we still remain, that still remain with us. The commitment that is as strong as it ever was to make sure that we will make this council not just the best, but the very best in the land, and our residents the most contented in the land. And that is what this is about, and I look forward to working with it and delivering them with you. And I therefore propose the recommendations.
Before we go to debate, could I have a seconder for that, please?
Seconded.
Councillor Wearmouth. We will now go to debate. All speeches limited to 3 minutes. I will firstly go through the group leaders. Councillor Peart.
Yes, I have been and seen the corporate plan. From what I've said, and I've relayed this to information when I've had it with Mr. Hunter and so forth, I don't think that it's hitting the mark. I think it's just a list of buzzwords and things like that going forward. It's not split down into areas. I know you've got the data, what says this is different in Blythe and Ash and Northumberland and stuff like that. I get that, but I just don't think that it's hitting the mark. It's short. Thank you.
Councillor Sanderson, do you want to hear all the comments first?
Yeah.
And then we can...
Let them be nicer than that one, though, if possible.
Councillor Dickinson. Here we go.
Well, apologies following on for that. So, you're right, Glenn. There's things in here that nobody could possibly disagree with, because we all want the best for our residents. We all want to deliver for the money that people are having to pay. I think my main concerns around the report, though, and the document itself, which I know Councillor Pert refers to Mr Hunter. I can't remember if I met with Mr Hunter. I think I did, actually. I'm having a flashback. But it's about performance for me and the monitoring of that, because I think the previous corporate plan was weak in its words and weak in its performance. And for me, there's a whole range of things listed on page 36, 8.1 to 8.6, which refers to performance monitoring and things like that. But it refers to a committee system of scrutiny that there's been a number of concerns raised about recently, looking at the right things, challenging the administration on things. But really, this corporate plan needs to be held to account by all members. So I'm just not sure that those points in there are going to do that. Other than that, there's a lot in there that we obviously support.
Thank you, Councillor Dickinson. Councillor Kennedy.
Yeah, thank you. And of course, I'll apologise before because it won't be nice words, Glenn. You know, it's called a corporate plan 2026 to 2030, but it's not a plan. This is more vision. There's no, I would expect in a plan who, what, when and why they're doing things. This is just a vision document. Somebody said buzzwords. It is just a vision document. It's not a plan, because it doesn't say what you intend to do. I think I would concur with what's just been said about performance monitoring being very, very important as part of your plan to say, right, I intend to do X, and this is how I intend to see how it's delivered. I think we have to refer back to that latest housing report, which was incredibly critical of Northumberland County Council, and really learn some lessons from that and put things in place that performance monitoring does actually take place, and that the council is not caught with its trousers down, and us as councillors were not necessarily aware of what was going to be in that report until it was actually reported. We scored the lowest score of all, which is not something we expect. I'm sure, you know, we've got the leader's successes report on the next agenda item, and his achievements report. So I hope that is mention of those things that maybe weren't achieved and need some attention as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Councillor Hunter.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, it's a hierarchy report, and I do think we need a timeline, more detailed report underneath as to who's doing what when, so it can be monitored, and we're relying a lot on the best programme to deliver savings. I'm not saying it's not going to work, but if that doesn't work, we need to know when it's going to work, and if not, that it's not going to have an impact on frontline services if we don't make them savings.
Thank you, Councillor Hunter. Councillor Swinbank.
Thank you, Chair. Obviously, this is a high-level strategic plan. It's my understanding that there are plans below this which will actually detail how it's going to be delivered out. What I would say was just kind of an observation, really. I would thank the leader for having a cross-party working on this, and I think that's important. I think that's somewhere the council has moved to over the last few years where it really maybe wasn't before. But just as an observation, we have three headlines: value for money, driving economic growth, tackling inequalities, which were the same headlines in the last iteration. But when we look at these, the part below that is our environment. And our environment actually encompasses all of the headlines and everything else that we do here. So when we're talking about things, and I'll just mention a few things which actually are in the strategy: insulating homes, recycling more waste, investing in renewable energy, grants for environmental projects, investing in schools and education. When you drill down into those and think about them, These are all things that are helping our environment. They're reducing carbon emissions, they're improving biodiversity, and those things follow through into our headlines. They're reducing inequality. It's obviously important that people can access high-quality green spaces. Highly important. The science is coming through every day saying how important that is. Also, we're reducing cost of living. If we invest in renewable energy, we don't need to tell you that we're in a kind of oil crisis at the moment. That's a fossil fuel crisis. If we invest in our own renewable energy, then we reduce that issue, and that helps our households. So, those are just a few examples how climate and nature are really important within everything that we do. We could do more. Obviously, we could do more, always, and we will be pushing the administration to do so. But on that basis, and the fact that it is high-level strategic, and we will be interested in seeing the plans which sit below this, we will support this today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Swinbank. Right, we'll move on to debate. Councillor O'Donnell.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to ask the leader or discuss section 5.3 in the preamble, which talks about the regeneration of Prydder. Now, I'm struggling to see what regeneration the report is referring to, or the revitalising capital investment that I may have missed. Thank you.
Councillor Dunn.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to start by saying we're being told that this corporate plan represents a bold vision for Northumberland, but for some communities, like mine, what we have before us isn't so much as a vision as simply a magazine. It's full of glossy photos of things that really promises that simply don't match the reality on the ground at the minute. So, this plan is to guide us for the next 4 years, but it offers nothing specific for or measurable for residents in my ward, which is Linemouth, which faces some of the deepest inequalities in Northumberland: poor transport, limited access to services, and long-standing underinvestment. On equalities, the plan is full of nice words, but it's a bit vague on numbers or targets. It claims progress, but where is this being evidenced? Ambitions are good, but it's not the same as achievements. So it's a nice brochure. I will accept this plan because we have to have one, and because I do welcome the investment that it mentions in our towns like Ashington, Blythe, Berwick, Bedlington and Prydder. But I look forward to some concrete evidence coming down the line to show how villages like those in Linemouth Ward, for instance, are benefiting from its implementation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dunn. Councillor Nicholson.
Thank you, Chair. I welcome the intention behind the document and the engagement that has taken place with the residents. But I do think it's important that we're clear that this itself is not a full corporate plan. It is in reality a public-facing vision document. But while the detail, the delivery plans, the strategy and the costs are all still to come, and this is precisely where I have some concerns. Because we are being asked to approve this document now, while the substantive elements, the measurable outcomes, the financial implications and the delivery framework will only come before full council at a later date. So then my question becomes, what exactly are we asking the residents to hold us accountable for today? What's the baseline in the document? What are the measurable markers that the public can look at and say, in 2, 3 or 4 years' time, did the council deliver it? Did it not? Without that, risks are seen as being aspirational without accountability. And alongside that, I would welcome clarity on the process going forward. How will the delivery plans and costings be brought forward? For example, will this be a single framework, separate reports? And how will they come to full council for approval? How will members and the public be able to track this progress and hold the council to account? Because at the moment there is a disconnect between the vision that we're approving today and the mechanisms that it will actually deliver. We all have ambition, but it must be anchored in measurability, transparency and a clear democratic process. So my concern is not with the direction of this travel, but with the gap between what's presented today and what will ultimately be delivered. And until that link is clearer, I do believe we do risk approving a document that sets expectations without yet defining how they will be met or judged. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nicholson. Before I bring in Councillor Wearmouth and Councillor Sanderson, I have Councillor Dale and Councillor Flower. Councillor Dale.
Thank you very much, and thank you. And I do agree with everybody, it is a vision, and I note it is a draft vision, but when we're going to actually have the agreed corporate plan to agree after it's been redrafted, that's one question. I think the main thing is going back, which people have mentioned, is a responsible council that acts with integrity. And I think this is where we bring in the value of scrutiny. And I would like to see a more positive forward plan available for all scrutiny committees to ensure that we can look at the corporate plan as it develops, we can question it, but also we have an input into it as well, because it's important. It's got a lot of budgetary impact on the budget, and therefore we need to be actually ensure that we can give assurance to the public that we actually understand and things are being done properly. So as far as I'm concerned, I would like to see scrutiny having a better forward plan, and that means we can scrutinise what we like, and there's no reason why we can't do that, but also we also see full council seeing all the strategies that are putting in place, like the economic strategy, that we agree with them. It's the council's priority to agree these type of strategies.
Thank you, Councillor Dale. The last three I've got, Councillor Flower, Swinburne and Ball. Councillor Flower.
Thank you very much. I think you've got the message that there's no detail in your corporate plan and it's more like a wish list than anything else. And there's a little bit of a disconnect between what goes on in here and what goes on out there in the villages of Northumberland. Now, I'm pleased to see that you're starting to take seriously saving some money and trying to do, get some, not pay out so much money sort of thing, but I think you're doing it in the wrong place. You could have looked at your wages bill or something and tried to make some cuts there, or the amount of money you put into people's pensions and things like that. Subsidised canteen, you could have had all these well-paid people paying full price for their dinner, but actually what you're doing is you're cutting the library service out of Seaton Valley, and you're shutting the library at Seaton Sluice to save £4,500. And for that £4,500, you've got all the heating, all the lighting, all the internet access, security, everything else, but you're going to cut it because, you're not worried about those people in the villages, are you? Not really. And, I think it's just appalling that that's exactly the amount of money you pay every week to one person who works for this council, and you're going to save that by shutting libraries. It's terrible. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fowler. Councillor Swinburne.
Thank you, Chair. Just want to pick up on a few comments that have been made here with regards to the performance monitoring on item 8 here, and just give some assurance, excuse me, when people are asking about transparency, accountability, reporting. From a scrutiny perspective, this is already in hand. One of the reasons why members have one of these and will be noticing a lack of paperwork is because reporting will be made through your laptop, through your computer. You will have, in the future, and what is being worked on at the moment, access to a reporting suite. No more will you get a piece of paper which just has a static report. You will be able to access information that you can drill down into more detail, whether it's Blythe, Ashington, Berwick, Rothbury, or wherever, to find out what is happening in your area. More detail, more information. That will be open to members. More reporting information in more detail. information will also be made available to members of public. So less of reports like that, where you then go back and say, can I have more information from this, from officers? Can we have a report on this? It will be available for you to drill down to, whether it's through scrutiny or whether it's just for you to access. That is your transparency and your accountability that we are making available through scrutiny, and that's what we're working on at the moment. So please rest assured that this is what's coming on, and that's why we're making it available through here, not just because we're saving money on paper. And I just want to give that assurance that this is what we're working on already for scrutiny. I'm looking forward to Councillor Sanderson's response to some of the other comments.
That's your 3 minutes, Councillor Swin.
Thank you.
Councillor Ball.
Thank you, Chair. So I welcome a plan, love a plan. But when it says driving economic growth, I've seen this in a plan many times before, along with the £34 million for Ashington, that is going to revitalise the town centre. If you want to come for a little stroll through Ashington Town Centre with me, I can introduce you to many a person who says if you are revitalising, you might need to bring it back from the dead because businesses are really struggling. So please, can I have assurances that these figures are going to come out of the plan, out of the paper, and show real regeneration and deliver for the town centre, because we've waited, we've helped other towns up and down Northumberland, but can we have the money back? Can we have this revitalisation, and can we have the plans come off the paper and really see this change, because businesses are on the bones and we really need that support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ball, and for always standing up for your ward. Last one, Councillor Oliver, before I go to Councillor Wearmouth.
Thank you, Chair. It's quite obvious from the comments that we've had so far that people are looking for different things from this document, and some people are looking for it to be all things to all people. I'll just make a comment about about businesses struggling. My view is that businesses are struggling because the government are squeezing the life out of them. National insurance has gone up. Utility costs are being driven up every day, and it is a real problem, and businesses are struggling. This is a document that is about the highest level of vision, and this is the vision that has brought the Northumberland line. It's the vision that's brought investment in schools and investment in leisure centres that no other council is doing. And it's also the vision that has brought billions of pounds of investments into our county and hundreds of new good jobs.
Thank you, Councillor Oliver. Councillor Wearmouth, you seconded. Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, Chair, thank you. And as I saw Councillor Oliver standing up, I realised my best line was going to get nicked from us before I started, which is that, I was sat with in our major employers forum the other day. Please tell your government that they need to act when it comes to national insurance, when it comes to what they've done with wages and employment policy, because it is strangling businesses. It's finishing them off, Councillor Ball. But on a positive side of things, next Cabinet, April, you should see a report that will detail things that are going to get started in Ashington, just to answer that question. Well, no, because it's a long time till April still. I wouldn't want you to turn blue. Not that it's likely. In terms of some of the other comments that have come through with specific regard to towns, there's borderlands work going on in Prudhoe, whether it's the East Centre, whether it's looking at district heating networks, and we have already, of course, completed new stores there. You've had the Linemouth Bay works. There is something always going on across the county. There does seem, though, to be a misunderstanding as to what this document's supposed to do. It is a visioning document. It's supposed to be something that anybody in this council or the county can pick up and say, this is the direction of travel. When we've had peer reviews and other things, it talks about a golden thread. This is the source of the golden thread, where all of them lead to. They cascade through the work plans, through things like the economic plan that you saw adopted the other day, and all of the other things that will go on, including the adoption of the new local plan in due course. This is where it starts. It cascades through. It's not intended to be an exhaustive million-page document on everything that the council does, how it does it, when it does it, and so on and so forth. That naturally flows and follows from other places. So I do hope that you can get behind this document. You all have had a part in pulling it together. We've had loads of consultation with members, with the public, with businesses. It's a very good plan, and I'm very happy to second it, and I know the leader will have a few more comments to make as well.
Thank you, Councillor Wearmouth. Councillor Sanson, you've got quite a few questions to answer, reminding that you have 3 minutes to answer them.
Thank you very much. Yes, there are a few. Some really helpful, thank you. Some not so helpful. Some tinged with a frost that still is hanging from the eaves, which I will come to in a moment. This is a high-level document. It is the statement of what this council wants to do and will do over the period. Where it says we will, that's what we will do. And it highlights in bullet points in all the different sections what we will do. Now you say, how will we know you're going to do that? And the answer is that underneath this document there are service plans. And those service plans will be shared through performance monitoring to make sure that all of the points in here are being delivered. It's not in anybody's interest, come on, to write a document like this and then somehow not deliver it. Of course it's not. So it is a serious document. And I am slightly concerned that there is some misunderstanding, because we have really tried to share the essence of this with all of you. I hope that you will believe me when I say it is a high-level document that will have service plans below it. And that then brings in overview and scrutiny. Now, the chairs and vice chairs of scrutiny know that I recently asked if they would mind for me to attend their regular meetings so that we can improve and streamline the dialogue that we have between scrutiny and the executive. And that, luckily, has been agreed, and I look forward to those. I want to see more pre-scrutiny. I like pre-scrutiny because it's important that where it's relevant and where it's going to play a big role, it is incredibly important. So I welcome that. I welcome challenging debate about how we're doing on these, and I look to scrutiny to be challenging, and I hope, and I'm sure they will be. Moving on to Prado, the gentleman at the back who was laughing before. Prado will see, as I think you know, the development of the East Centre. That is something that is in hand. I would like to see that progress move faster, to be honest, and I won't cast judgment on why it isn't moving faster, but it will happen. It will be a fantastic investment that will do Prado and the businesses there and the people there proud. So that is what will be happening in Prado, to answer your question. Poor transport. Now, come on. How can you say that Northumberland has poor transport when we know that the Northumberland line has just passed the 1.2 million passengers that have used it? How can you say poor transport when we know that our teams are working with the bus companies with a partnership? Sorry? Sorry, can you not hear me? Oh, sorry, I'll keep going then. So the bus partnerships are creating an increased use of buses right across the county. And you need to look at those to see the success that the bus travel and the partnership is having. I would just ask you, though, to consider Linemouth when you say you get nothing. Linemouth, we spent £5.8 million on tidying up the mess that had been created for decades and decades and decades and decades and never addressed, not addressed by previous administrations. We spent £5.8 million in Linemouth to make that beach the same as any other beach on our wonderful coast. So please, don't talk to me about money not being spent in Linemouth. We then move to the priority actions. We will make sure that we do the things we say in this document. I know how disappointed you are, Caroline, that there is so much money being spent in Ashington. I personally can guarantee you that we will continue the investment that we've made in Ashington, that we've made in Blyth, that we've made in many other towns right across the county. Berwick, for example, has benefited hugely from this Conservative administration, as Berwick members know. We will continue that. We will continue to be driven by this document. We will continue to keep our focus and our ambition and our commitment for the future. And when members bring up a difficult process in inspection that took place, I would just say to you this, that underway at the moment are all the factors that need to be addressed, more so than actually are expected. I have said I want to see a scrutiny committee set up specifically to look at housing.
1 minute, Leader.
Right. So you know, I'm sorry you did that there, but never mind. You know what I'm saying, and I'm sorry to break up there, but there we are.
Thank you for that, Leader. I did say you had another minute. You didn't have to stop then. Right. You know the recommendations, so we now go to the vote, please. Can I ask all those in favour of the recommendations to please raise your hands and keep them raised so we can count? Sorry. Those against? Abstentions? Yeah, please, just to... Right, councillors, that is carried. There was 33 for, none against, and 23 abstentions. Thank you for that. So that is carried. The next item on the agenda item 8, it's a report from the Leader of the Council, Annual Achievements. So I'd like to invite the Leader to present this report, and you have 5 minutes, Leader.
Now, thank you very much. I won't use 5 minutes, I won't use 4, I won't use 3, I will probably use no more than 2. Now, these are a useful reminder of all the things that this council, and please don't feel that you are somehow removed from these decisions, because you're involved in them, you've agreed the budget, you've agreed the way forward. I'm proud of what the council has achieved. I'm proud of the staff that work for us. I'm proud of the way we have delivered for Northumberland. They are there for you, and please ask me any questions you like.
Thank you. There's... Yeah. I must admit that took me by surprise as well. Councillor Dunn. Now, councillors, you have 3 minutes to ask your question. Councillor Dunn.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Sanderson. I mean, we're told that economic growth is booming in this report. There's the data centres, there's investment funds, the Northumberland line, and despite the 5.5 million that you invested in the coast at Linemouth, I've got to say that the reality is that in coastal communities like mine, they still face limited transport, limited opportunities, and limited access to the jobs that are being promised. So when will we see tangible evidence that things are improving in these areas?
Thank you, Councillor Dunn. Councillor Sanderson, do you want to wait till the end and answer all together? Yeah. Councillor Lambert, I think you had your hand up now.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to congratulate the Leader of the Council, on this report. and having awarded himself the Victor Ladorum, highest achievement. But sadly, for all the rest of us, he's awarded it to himself before the start of the year. The value for money, the new plan for the council tax support scheme that Councillor Oliver brought here on the 14th of January. Well, the bills have just landed on people's door the end of last week, obviously after this report was written, and my inbox is full of people. We were assured by the Cabinet Member for Finance and Value for Money that it would have a very small effect on the vast majority of people. Well, that's not what I'm hearing from the cases I've seen. We've got people who are on universal credit and PIP, having gone from having paid zero council tax to suddenly being asked to pay just on £20 a week, over £1,000 a year in council tax. And we were assured in these charts that we were given on the 14th of January, and as the Councillor Oliver told us, there would be very minor tweaks. It wouldn't cause any major disruption at all. So maybe you'll be able to explain to us, now that you've got this Great Achievement Award, before the start of the year, how we've got to this situation, where the least fortunate in society are being asked to pay these huge amounts.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hume.
Thank you, Chair. If I could just take Councillor Wearmouth back to a couple of months ago when you said that Bedlington and Amble would be in the regeneration mode. Could you elaborate on what exactly...
Councillor Hume, it's the leader's report, so it'll have to be the leader who... No, you can ask your question, but it'll be the leader who replies.
Okay. It was Councillor Wearmouth that mentioned it, but if I could address it to you as well, Councillor Sanderson, if I can take you back to when we had the group partnership, and you said that there was going to be something like 3 million available for Amble. Could you elaborate on that? And does it come into... You don't remember that? Right. I'm sure I'm correct on that. But if there is anything that you can elaborate on money for Amble, I know that the school is coming along very well, because I was there yesterday, and thank you very much for that. But it's just more money for Amble that we're after, because we see it going to Ashington, Blythe, Berwick, and places like that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Hume. Councillor Oakley.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to raise a couple of points there. In the leader's report, it talks about tackling inequalities, it talks about driving economic growth, and as the leader just said before, transport in Northumberland is apparently brilliant. Well, actually, in my ward in Pegswood, we aren't tackling inequalities and we're not tackling transport. We have one train in the morning, one train at night, and we have a really ineffective number 35 bus that does not work. We can't get investment for it. There's nothing we can do. If you would like to come and see how bad transport is, please come to my ward in Pegswood, and I will happily give you more than 100 residents who would like to talk to you about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Oakley. Councillor Hunter.
Thank you, Chair. 2 questions to the leader as to, we've done the home to school review, which is fair enough, but we're now in the crisis of the fuel increasing just about daily. So it's how do we make sure that taxis and buses can keep running to get the children to and from school, as well as many of our other services. Because again, there could end up with a shortage of fuel, which we don't want that, but we don't know what's around the corner. And also the blue bins, and I know we've had an issue of people putting the wrong items in the blue bins, and nothing against the staff, they've been targeting and sorting it. I think we need the communications to get out to explain, you know, the problems it's got, you know, what you have to put in, what you can't put in, and what costs is going to come to the council if they get it wrong. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hunter. Councillor Dickinson.
Jolly good. This is good fun today. Who is the leader? I'm addressing you. Yes, still you. Good. Wasn't too sure there when Councillor Hume. That's very true. So, when we were at a public meeting in Amble the other week, I might have heard that £2 million, although it's grown to £3 million, but I think you might have said something similar to that, so I'm quite happy to support Councillor Hume on that. Let's see what we can squeeze out of him, Councillor Hume, because I'm sure he said something. It won't come as a surprise, and I don't want to be one of those councillors that becomes a broken record because they've been here for a while, but most of the time, whenever you present these annual reports that kind of come on a regular basis, even though they're called annual reports, I do often say that it would be really good to have some of the challenges ahead in there, so that we know that you're cited on some of those things and that you're not just backslapping all the time and you're actually in the real world and seeing what we see, because I think that's really important. And I would just like a bit more of a balanced report in that respect. The second thing, in terms of page 55, which relates to 5.12, only last month, the majority of council, and it was quite a strange environment to be in, I've never known it in the time I've been here, where we all came together and did the right thing and inserted some common sense amendments, and 60 odd to 2 people, I think, and it was really, really good that people saw the importance of some of those things. But 5.12 talks about a transformation programme, talks about £60 million worth of service changes and cuts and efficiencies and whatever else. What does that mean to people? And part of that amendment was about moving to a more open and transparent way of reporting best. It was about making it publicly accessible in layman's terms so the public can understand what that 60 million means to them, their council. It's their money at the end of the day. So I haven't seen any progress, haven't been consulted, haven't been spoken to about my amendments that were accepted, yet we're making big statements here that still don't really talk to people about it. So I just wondered if you could update on any progress in relation to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dickinson. And I think the annual report comes every year, if I remember rightly.
To be fair, Mr. Chairman, for clarification, I think we'll have annual report about 3 times a year.
Councillor Bridget.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was going to raise this under the next agenda item, actually, but I don't think it's fair to land it on Councillor Patterson's doorstep because the way I was going to raise it was in her report. It mentioned economic renewal and Rothbury in the same paragraph. And I did have a little chuckle at that. But I definitely think it is best raised with the leader of the council in this regard, because I'm not aware of any economic renewal that has taken place in Rothbury. We, time and time again, get the borderlands dangled over us, as we have done for the last 5 or 6 years. But it doesn't seem to be a priority. And I'll give you the examples of why. Because we have, and Councillor Wearmouth knows this because he attended our last Borderlands meeting back at the end of October, we have the potential of a fantastic economic project, economic and social project, but predominantly economic, in Rothbury. And to develop projects within Borderlands, you need a vehicle. You need a vehicle to take that on board. And for the life of me, and I am not a person who has over the years been on the attack over Advanced Northumberland. I've kind of sat on the fence because I had the opportunity to sit on the board of Advanced Northumberland for a couple of years and saw that there are some very well-meaning individuals who work there. But I have been trying to convince Advanced Northumberland for several years to prioritise this economic project within Rothbury. And time again, it comes back. And I don't mean this to the detriment of the councillors in South East Northumberland, but time and time again I hear that the priority that they're busy concentrating on at the moment is Camas, is Potland Burn, is the Quayside and Blythe. And I am not trying to take away from those excellent projects.
Is there a question,
but
Councillor Bridget?
Yeah, I'm coming to it.
You've got a minute
There
left.
are other areas in Northumberland, and it has been 5 months since the Borderlands group met in Rothbury, and it's never been a priority from within our own regeneration team. So my question is to the leader, while you're talking about the great things that this council has done within Northumberland and across Northumberland, when will the economic renewal be prioritised in Rothbury?
Thank you, Councillor Bridget. I've got Councillor Ball, and I'll go back to the leader to answer those questions. Councillor Ball.
Thank you, Chair. So, Glenn, your achievements this year from the people of Ashington. Wansbeck Square, Hall, Portland Park, Hall, country's finances after 14 years of the Tories, black hole. Can I please ask that next year's report shows some real achievements for Ashington? That economic plan is, at the moment, Glenn, you keep on promising us, and all I can see is a patch of grass at one end of the town, and then Wansbeck Square has been pulled down, and we don't have a plan for that. So come on, please, it's award season, and I would love to stand here next year and be able to mean that clap. So come on, I really want to see the end of these holes, whether they be at Wansbeck Square, and let's see if we can fill them as well, eh? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ball. Before Councillor Audsley, I've missed your hand, the last one.
Oh, thank you. I wasn't sure you were going to call us in the end there. But no, my question was more just about sort of the specifics in this report, because I do notice that in this report, Newbiggin isn't even mentioned once. And I've had some issues here with how Newbiggin is considered by this council. So, for example, this report also commends the work of the Safe and Resilient Communities team. I remember last year, after I had just become a councillor, speaking to the town council, and I was mentioning that, oh, there's this officer, and I won't name names here, but oh, there's an officer on NCC that's supposed to be responsible for this area. The response I got from them is, oh, we've never heard of him. He's never been here, never talked to any of us. Even though he's responsible for Newbiggin, because he was also responsible for a variety of other areas, and he'd, as far as I was aware, as far as I know, basically he'd never bothered to come to us, never bothered to really speak to the town council. He might have done some things that just went under the radar. But my concern with this report is just in the way that certain areas in Newbiggin in particular are considered by this report, and that basically we're grouped in with other areas and we're not given the concern that we deserve. And I'm sure there's many of our councillors here from different towns up and down Northumberland that feel that they're not getting the attention that they deserve either. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Councillor. Councillor Sanderson, I think there were more debate and statements rather than questions there, but I'm sure you've got a few questions that you'd like to answer. Councillor Sanderson.
Yes, thank you very much. So, starting at the top, this is a looking back document. So, whilst I would never, ever dream of calling myself a Victor Laudorum, although I did win it at school, I would not do it on this occasion. This is looking back on what we've done, and the text and the words sum it all up in extremis, how much has been achieved. So thank you to everybody involved with that. On Bedlington and Amble, well, Bedlington is going to get its railway station open in a few days' time, and that will bring enormous regeneration in great amounts to Bedlington, along with all the other things that the County Council have done there. So we know about that. As far as the Amble one is concerned, I think this refers to what I was saying about our Northumberland Growth Fund. And the Northumberland Growth Fund, yes, it does. The Northumberland Growth Fund already has nearly £20 million in it. And this was from our negotiation over the QTS, Caroline. The QTS, well, do you want to hear the answer or not? Right, but okay, but just listen to the answer. So that came from the QTS Blackstone negotiation, where we negotiated a figure of £110 million to regenerate all of Northumberland. So while I know that you see a great deal of effort being spent in Blythe and Ashington in particular, the result of that, thanks to our entrepreneurial officers who have served us proud, has given us that ability to be able to invest. So yes, Amble will get investment if you can demonstrate that there is a business case that will bring in new jobs and new business. Now, you also know that I've organised a round table for the Development Fund and for the Town Council to come to County Hall to talk with our key people about how we might look at the future, the strategic vision and the desire that Amble people have for the future of their town. So that commitment is there, and I look forward to that meeting, which is happening fairly soon. Meanwhile, Pegswood, I'll happily come to Pegswood. I know Pegswood quite well because my son did Scouts there. And I'd more than happily do that anytime, Vicky. So absolutely. The shortage of fuel, good point to raise about that. Let's hope to goodness that we can deal with that. I suppose my worry as well is that if the price of fuel does continue to go up, the effect that that will have on our school transport costs, and all the send costs that we have, Councillor Renner-Thompson, which presumably also would escalate. So clearly it's everybody's interest that that doesn't happen, but it's a good point to raise. The public consultation, when you talk about have we talked to people, we had this public consultation. I went to a number of different meetings across the county, and we had nearly 2,000 responses that were very supportive of the way the council is going. And particularly pleasing was the fact that they are with us on many of the areas that we're working on. On Rothbury, I think it's worth pointing out that, yes, we do talk about and spend a lot of money in places in the southeast, but we have also set up Northumberland's Small Business Service. And I went to a meeting in Alnwick last week where both that and the rural schemes were discussed. And I can tell you that there are currently 800 businesses in the rural areas like Rothbury have been assisted. 260 new jobs and 100 jobs safeguarded in rural businesses, and 80 new businesses started in the last 2 years. So actually, there's that work that we do, and I really would like you to see the work that we've done, and I'll see that I will send you an email just to show you what has been done in rural areas at the same time as the work that's going on in Ashington and Blythe. But also, it's not just them, it's Berwick. We're spending a fortune in Berwick, and we continue to spend money in Berwick, and I know how much the Berwick members like us to do that, and how much they often say thank you for that. Which is always pleasing. So there we are. The point about Linemouth, I will get you a copy of the paper. In fact, if I ask Simon Nielsen very kindly, not directly, but there is a paper that we have seen that is talking about the purchase of new community buses. We have given, I think, nearly £1 million towards buying new community buses to fill those areas where public transport is currently not available. And in addition to that, we are working with local bus providers to increase and expand their services. Newbiggin, again, is another case where we can tap into that Northumberland Growth Fund for new business and new regeneration and new jobs. And finally, you see, you did it again, Caroline. You said that Ashington gets nothing. What about all the work that's going on with the new Northumberland College, with whom we are working closely? What about the fact that you have the best station in the land? Did you not win that award for Ashington Station? Government. Yeah. So well done to Ashington. Well done to the work the County Council have done there. Long may it continue, and one day, I know, you will acknowledge that.
Thank you, Councillor Sanderson. If this is not for a vote, it's just to note the report. We move on to item 9 on the agenda, which is report the Cabinet Member for Culture, Leisure and Tourism. Before I invite Councillor Patterson to present this report, to remind members, questions which concern specific local matters may not be able to be answered today. So if members have any questions of this nature, they would be best advised to approach officers outside of this meeting. Councillor Patterson. And you have 5 minutes, Councillor Patterson, to present your report.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to present Culture, Leisure and Tourism to you all this afternoon. This is a huge portfolio, and it would probably take me a couple of hours if I went through everything. So this is a very hurried presentation. So first of all, let's do tourism. We live in the most fantastic community and a wonderful, wonderful county. From the tranquility of the Tyne Valley to the remote beauty of Kielder to the lovely, lovely areas of the Cheviots, our wonderful coastline and the River Tweed at Berwick. All of those things are wonderful, and the vibrant and busy urban communities of South East Northumberland. We have it all. And so in 2024, and I'm sorry I don't have figures as yet for 2025, but in 2024 we achieved an economic impact of 1.43 billion, along with 10.5 million visitors to Northumberland. I think that's absolutely amazing, given that that was the follow-on from COVID. So as a county, we are, if you like, setting the standard for the whole of the country, I think. The visitors are just flocking here. Our Visit Northumberland website, I don't know whether any of you have looked at it recently. It keeps up to date. It has lots of good things on, lots of advice. It's an amazing website. Please do have a look at it. And I just want to mention the taste of Northumberland, because we have some wonderful food producers in this county, some wonderful businesses, and we are going to be exploring that in the next couple of months. We are going to do a lot around our food. Nipping straight into leisure, we have 10 leisure centres, and figures for users are up right across the county, with Morpeth probably peaking just at the top for a number of people that use our leisure centres. They also share with the library. I think that's a great idea, as do Ponteland. And these are the kind of things where it's thinking out the box and getting more footfall. The health and well-being of our residents is vitally important. And that's why we are so proud of our leisure facilities. And we do have extensive refurbishments for this year, because some of our leisure centres are a little bit older than others. So we keep on top of things. We want them to run properly for you. And just to mention also, they're run for us by Places Leisure. Places Leisure have a facility called Healthy Communities, and for those who don't live on top of a leisure centre, they are happy to come out to our community centres and do whatever the residents would like in regard to maybe armchair exercise, all sorts of things. So if anyone is interested at all, please do get in touch with me or the officers for leisure, all right? And then moving on quickly, libraries. We are undergoing a consultation on our libraries. The way we read is changing. We want to keep everything modern and forward-thinking. A lot of us read digitally now, read online, and also we want to, if you like, make going to the library more inviting for our residents. So we have suggestions that we make them one-stop shops where you can not only get your library books out, but you can also pay your council tax, report a missed bin, or order a new bin, all sorts of things, which will make things a lot easier for our residents. Theatres, I had the pleasure of going to the Queen's Theatre in December, another marvellous facility. I was shown around by the theatre manager. They were doing rehearsals for the panto. I just thought it was amazing. Alnwick Playhouse, that is in my area. It is not just a great place for the people of Alnwick, but for all the surrounding villages. We all really, really need, if you like, leisure, culture, and also entertainment. It's vitally important for us all. And not forgetting the Maltings, which is currently under renovation. We have got this fantastic cinema to replace the maltings while it's closed in the living barracks. And I had a look at that. Very comfortable, super place for residents of Berwick and the surrounding area. And I can say that we do get an awful lot of input and footfall from over the border in Scotland. They do love the maltings and do attend as well. So as soon as, I think it's 2028, it'll be up and running again. And I'm sorry, you know, obviously the residents are having to do without a theatre, but it will be fantastic when it's all finished. And just to mention archives, we do have two services. We have one in Berwick and one at Woodhorn. And the ladies in charge there work so hard. They do a marvellous service for us all. And to mention Woodhorn, there is an open exhibition at the moment with 600 exhibits. Please do go along and support Woodhorn and have a look at all our lovely artists who have put in all of these exhibits. Really, really excellent. Excuse me, I'm just going to have a drink of water. And I have to mention the Blythe Festival, Energy Festival. What a great event. As the leader mentioned, over 24,000 people attended. And I had the pleasure of going to the Renewable Energy Building at the start of the celebrations to hear Helen Sharman talk, the British astronaut, to talk about her experiences in space, which was absolutely fantastic.
To your last minute, Councillor Patterson.
Thank you so much. I think I'm about done. Thank you so much, everyone. Questions?
Thank you, Councillor Patterson. If there are questions, as Councillor Patterson said, on libraries, probably won't be able to answer because we're still in the consultation mode. First of all, I have Councillor O'Donnell.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. I'm glad that the leader mentioned the project of the East Centre in Prydda. It's an impressive project being brought forward by Prydda Community Partnership, backed by Government Borderlands money. Because of the delays, which I'd like to work with you to iron out, it has ended up with a shortfall in funding. Can you commit to plugging that shortfall?
Councillor Patterson.
I don't think I can answer that question, but if you want to email that to me, then we'll get an answer for you.
Councillor Hill.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of questions. And first of all, I would say that this is an area that the Council does perform strongly in. There are other councils in the country that leisure centres are closing. There's next to no cultural activity. So I think, you know, fair play on what's been going on in that portfolio area. My questions are on the sports development side and in Berwick, and 3 points. And I'm looking at Councillor Hunter because I'm touching on areas that are, but I'm sure you'd be happy and agree with me. First of all, the excellent manager at the Leisure Centre has just been promoted, and she's been outstanding, and I think it's really worthwhile mentioning Kelly because she's done a great job. Second of all, looking for assurances that the opportunities for sports development and facilities as part of the new Berwick School will be very much forefront in the thinking, because there's a great opportunity there to fill gaps in sporting facilities, not just for the school, but the whole community. And the final point is, and going back to my original question about working with MPs, I know what I'm about to say David Smith is supporting as well. The chairman of Berwick Rangers has just raised concerns about the football club might even close its doors. Now, this is a very historic football club. It's got that unique distinction of being in England but playing in the Scottish League. But in the chairman's words, it's sometimes with funding in no man's land. So with, you know, us, Councillor Hunt and the Berwick councillors and David Smith, if we assurances that you do all you can to help make sure our historic football club is saved.
Councillor Swinbank.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of points. I know you mentioned the library service is still open for consultation. The the new mobile library in the north of the county has really been well received. And unfortunately, within the consultation, the suggestion is to halve the library service and use that vehicle right across the county. So I would like consideration given to actually having a new library van for the south and the west of the county, if that's possible, Councillor Patterson. And the other point was with regard to cycle routes. Hadrian's Wall link route update, which looks really good. That's a cycle route which links Walltown Country Park, the Sill and Vindolanda. That's excellent. Families can get out and actually use that route. There are in the county a number of disused railway lines which would make excellent cycling routes, greenway routes, and it's something that we might like to think about in actually giving some strategic support to. So there are 3 particular lines that there are groups I know working on: the Hexham to Kielder line, Morpeth to Rothbury line, and the Alnwick to Cornhill line, which is in partly in my ward, and a start has been made on that. So I think if the council could give some strategic thought to supporting those, it might not necessarily cost a lot of money for the council. Others could put the money in to actually develop the routes, but some strategic kind of oversight and from a tourism point of view, as well as lots of other points of view in terms of inequalities, that would be really useful, I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Swinbank, and we are looking
Councillor
at
Patterson, before I bring you in,
Yes.
rather than, do you want to answer all, go through the points? I know there's some questions you'll not be able to answer. Do you want to answer them all at the end?
I would rather answer them as they're asked,
Okay.
if you don't mind, Chair. And just to tell Councillor Swinbank that we are looking into this. So thank you for that.
Councillor Dickinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Councillor Patterson. It's always lovely to hear your passion for your area, because I genuinely believe you do have. And it always reminds me of the book you wrote that you told me about when I hear you speak.
Yes, totally.
Anyway.
Totally. Oh, it's still unpublished, Councillor Dickinson.
So you can still make it in. If anybody watching online would like to publish... No, I'm not going to go down that. So, just in terms of your report, Councillor Patterson, I would just like to ask about a couple of things. One is around pitch power, and you talk about the pitch power stuff in here, where 107 pitches across the county have benefited from investment on maintenance. I just want to highlight that there is an outstanding, and it's in my declaration of interest, by the way, before anyone starts, there is a fantastic football club called Red Row FC, who won again on Sunday, which gave us lots of excitement. But we are having difficulties with the pitch, and it would be great if they could access some of this stuff. So if you wouldn't mind pointing me in the direction of this pitch power, which I wasn't aware of, that would be marvellous. Secondly, given the leader's new commitment and excitement for scrutiny and pre-scrutiny, I wondered if, and you might not be able to answer it today, that the library consultation, any decision that comes out of that would go to pre-scrutiny, just for members to be able to have overview of that. I can't see that being a major problem. No. And in terms of the report, it's a really nice read. It's a really nice thing to hear a cabinet member just speaking without excessive notes, and you can genuinely feel an actual interest in the portfolio. So thank you, Councillor Patterson.
Thank you so much, Councillor Dickinson, and I have taken Red Row on board, and I will give you that information. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Patterson. I've got about 7 more on. I'm going to call it at that because I think it'll take some time.
I'm sure that'll be fine.
Councillor Dunn. Councillor Dunn.
Thank you, Chair. My question is on libraries, but not specifically within the consultation. This year is the National Year of Reading, and it's held up as a flagship, a high-profile campaign. It's explicitly about improving well-being and supporting disadvantaged communities. So my question is, why then are we cutting a low-cost intervention, which is the Reading for Wellbeing groups, that directly supports the National Year of Reading objectives? And what assessment was made on the vulnerable residents before these groups were stopped?
Thank you, Councillor Dunn. Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Councillor Dunn. As you know, you have spoken to me about this, and unfortunately the funding ended for that, and it wasn't just our funding, it was other funding we received from other obviously donations from other places. I do think that we will look into it though, because it is, as you said, a really worthwhile project.
Thank you, Councillor Patterson. Councillor Bridget.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to. Well, I've been told I need to shorten my statements.
Please.
Yeah, well, I'll be quick because I've had a message from ever the diligent councillor. Councillor Dodd is watching from home, and he said I need to. Watching full council is providing a real tonic for him, but I need to shorten my statement. So I'm sure you'll join me in wishing Richard well. But I'm going to wrap a compliment up with an assurance, asking for an assurance, because I know you're consulting on it at the moment with regards to the library services. Yes. And where so often, particularly in rural areas, we see services being cut. And actually in Rothbury, you're looking to increase the library services from 17 hours to 28. And the assurance I'm really looking for, the library service in Rothbury works exceptionally well. There is a huge team behind it, obviously, at County Hall, but in my opinion, it comes down to one particular lady who has worked at the Rothbury Library for decades, Claire Watson. She's in her 70s. She is well past retirement, but she loves what she does. And I would love for you to be able to seek some sort of assurance out of her that she won't be going anywhere as part of this review.
Thank you, Councillor Bridget. Councillor Patterson.
Thank you very, very much, Councillor Bridget. And I'd very much like to meet this lady if it's possible, so we must arrange a meeting with her. But there will be no compulsory redundancies.
Councillor Oldsley.
Thank you, Chair. So my question was really about tourism, because tourism is incredibly important to New Biggin, and as far as I'm aware, part of the rationale for extending the Northumberland line into New Biggin was to provide a destination for people from Newcastle, because it's a real pull factor for people. It's a real tourism destination. However, there are some issues at the moment with New Biggin, and particularly around the beach and the promenade. And I'm sure many people here might know, because I'm constantly on officers about this, and I know Deputy Leader Richard Wearmouth did come down to New Biggin to discuss this with me. Basically, large parts of the promenade are in a state of kind of semi-disrepair. Lots of the railings are corroded. There are areas where there are steps just in total disrepair. And kind of the biggest issue is really with sand that's been blown from the beach onto the promenade, and this causes a lot of issues for people with mobility problems. And I've been on with officers here quite a lot about this, and the response that I often get is basically just that because of the weather, this can happen very, very quickly. So you can spend all day cleaning the sand away, and then the next morning all the sand will just be there again. And the response I sort of get is people just putting their hands up and basically saying this is too difficult to deal with, so we're not really going to put too many more resources into it, we're not really going to bother, we're just going to sort of leave it the way it is. But this is really causing issues for residents. So I'd just like to ask if there's any assurances that you can give, given the fact that we're going to get this new train line, given the fact that Borderlands is looking at improving the connectivity to the beach and to the promenade, that we're going to get a lot more footfall here. But there's a lot of kind of disrepair there. Like I said, there's lots of sand always on the footpaths. Just is there any way that NCC could do more to try and clean the promenade and to try and make the experience better for tourists that do come to New Biggin, because it is a wonderful town? Thank you.
Councillor Patterson.
I think because you've given quite a lot of, if you like, points in that, and incidentally New Biggin is lovely, and I do sometimes go down with my friend, so I do love New Biggin very much. However, there's a lot there, so would you like to email me with all of that, and we'll get you a proper answer? All right?
Thank you. Councillor Hunter.
My questions on the play zones, which just to see where we are with play zones, yes, whether there's more funding coming through for it, because I know in Berwick we had a site allocated about probably 2-3 years ago, ready to go, and I know that fits in with our inequalities, so I'd just like to know where we stand with play zones.
At the moment, we have 8. Sorry, Chair, I'm ahead of you there. At the moment, we have 8 play zones with 2 more in the pipeline. I was at the presentation when the officer came and talked to us all about Berwick. I'll make inquiries as to where that is about Berwick. All right.
Thank you, Councillor Patterson. Councillor Flower.
Thank you very much. I think you said that over 10 million visitors to Northumberland.
In 2024.
Fantastic, and I think the more the better. But we have a problem in Seaton Sluice where people go out and they buy their 60, 70,000 pound mobile, camper van, and they come and park in streets all over Seaton Sluice. And if we can enforce to stop them doing it and direct them to camping sites, we could make more money out of them. That's what I'd like to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Patterson.
Thank you.
Right. It's wonderful having a cabinet member who gives short answers and doesn't go on and on and on. Correct. I would definitely agree with that. Councillor Dale.
I'm not going to. Well, thank you very much for your report. What I really like to say is probably, if anybody knows, I'm passionate about Prideaux Library. And as somebody, one of the people who developed it in 2013-14 with the community partnership, we made sure that it was a sustainable one-stop shop. And Prideaux has this wonderful, I have to say, brand new specials, which we took down the original one and we built a brand new one-stop shop, which includes the council library. And we have all kinds of people who come in there. It's a thriving centre. Tomorrow we've got the open day where people are going to come and be consulted on the closure of some of our libraries and also the cut back on times. So I'm asking you, will you come? Have you been? Have you seen our one-stop shop?
No, I haven't.
Well, why not? Because come tomorrow, we have a one-stop shop. We have everybody there. The police are there to see you. Not only the police, but you've got the community partnership, you've got stronger people, you've got this, that and the other. We've got all kinds of community asset there. Not only that, you can get your badge for your bus, you can get this, you can get that, you can get everything. Council tax, everything. And I'm asking you, come tomorrow afternoon, everybody there, library services, come and see our one-stop shop. It's brilliant. And let me say to you, it belongs to the community partnership and it's awfully sustainable. And thank you for letting me know. There's a lot in the bank. They're doing so well. Can we make sure that that continues and build on it, please? And I know the councillors from Prideaux will give me total support on that and for the area because it covers a big area. So if you can come tomorrow, I'll be there at 2. Be nice to see you.
Thank you, Councillor Dale. I'm not sure if that was a question, Councillor Patterson. I know you've got an invitation, but I'm not sure if it was a question.
Thank you very much for your very kind invitation, Councillor Dale. Unfortunately, it is a little bit tight for me tomorrow, but I will be happy to come over at a later date.
Thank you, Councillor Patterson. Last one, Councillor Renner-Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, as you know, I represent the most beautiful ward in the county of Bamborough, where the tourist trade is incredibly important to our economy. You know, we wouldn't have the variety of pubs and restaurants and shops that we have in our coastal villages if it wasn't for the tourist trade. And just for the cabinet member to know and pass on to the Visit Northumberland team, they are very, very highly regarded by the holiday cottages, by those tourist businesses on the coast. There are other voices in the community which bemoan the number of tourists, and we do have certain issues to do with parking and litter and some of the things that Councillor Flowers mentioned. But what I really like about the current planning we have at the council is we're not working in silos anymore. The National Landscape team, the council highways, the tourism team are working together so that we're not just getting vast numbers of tourists coming in. We're actually trying to manage those numbers, and we're trying to make sure we get the right type of tourists that come spent as much money as we can possibly squeeze out of them. And I know your ward faces the same issues as mine, but you can pass on my thanks to the Visit Northumberland team for that. Thank you.
Was there a question there, Councillor? Right.
The question was, can you pass on my thanks to the team?
Thank you, Councillor Renner-Thompson. I will do so. However, I do think actually my ward area is probably more beautiful.
Right, thank you for that, councillors. Again, there's no vote on that report. It was just to note, so thank you for that. Thank you, Councillor Patterson, for your prompt and succinct answers. Item 10 on today's agenda is a report of the Director of Law and Corporate Governance from the Independent Remuneral Panel. Members, you've had this report in your agenda pack. Members were asked to send any technical questions to Lindsay Denyer before the meeting. I will present this report from the Chair. The recommendations are on page 88. We will now move to debate, and I want to bring in first Councillor Sanderson to speak on this and possibly move the vote.
Thank you very much. So the Conservative group would like to put forward the following. In place of the recommendations in the report, we would like to propose the following. That we extend our gratitude to members of the Independent Remuneration Panel for their work. Secondly, that the Council agrees that basic allowances will continue to be index-linked. The Council agrees to freeze all special responsibility allowances at their current level for the duration of this Council, and I propose that.
Thank you, Councillor Sanderson. Councillor Dickinson.
I'll second that, Chair, but can I make an amendment to that, please?
You certainly can.
So I agree that the members' allowances should be index-linked, because I don't think members should be setting their own amounts of money. I also think it's important that the SRAs are frozen, because there's a difficult time out there. We're looking at changes with staff and things inside the council, so I think that's the right move as well. But the thing that, for me, I would like to add in, if I can, because I think it's important that we address some of the comments in the report as well as dealing with the recommendations. So on top of yours, Glenn, if you're happy to either accept or go to the vote, I'd like to add in to request that the Constitution Working Group receives and notes the report's findings as part of their ongoing committee review to ensure that the IRP's report and comments are considered. And I think that's just a simple way of making sure that during the committee review, that committee hears and sees and listens to this report. I mean, it's the people in this room, but in another forum. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Dickinson. I'll go to Councillor Sanderson to see if he agrees with that amendment.
Yep, very happy with that amendment and look forward to going to the vote.
Okay.
Sorry, Chair, can I just be clear?
And have you noted the recommendation 3.3? Are you all in agreement with 3.3 as well? Can we go to the vote, please? Do we want to debate?
Councillor Hill.
Councillor Hill and Councillor Dale.
Of course.
Thank you,
Part
Chair.
of the
The recommendations as put, I would support. I would just make a general point, and it's not just so much relevant to us; it's relevant across the country. Funnily enough, maybe the hardest part of the recommendation was the first one, to thank the panel for their work, because I don't think it's a very high quality of report, to be honest. I see that they struggle to be core. I don't think the commentary, I don't see it's very scientific. I don't see there was a huge amount of worth in what they did. And I would say that in Scotland, you know, they make comparison figures about basic allowances to the North East, but, you know, we're much more similar to someone like Cornwall, who pay a bit more. And then in Scotland, who do several things better, one of which is play rugby, they have it's set by the government, and it's benchmarked around a percentage of the national average wage. I do think they do it better in Scotland. I do think there's a better way in looking at we need an independence in it, of course, but I just don't think the quality of report was there. And I have to say it was embarrassing to read, which they were happy to report, that certain new councillors didn't know that there was an allowance for being a councillor, which is like a bit worrying if people hadn't done the due diligence before becoming councillors, and even more worrying if for some reason people made that up. So that was a little bit, and I hope anyone listening who stands for Northumberland County Council has an understanding of the commitment and what it all involves before they put the name forward in future.
Thank you, Councillor Hill. Councillor Dale.
Thank you. And there is going to be an impact, a financial impact as well. And I'd like to say to Councillor Dickinson, thank you for that, because I think it should be referred to have a proper conversation within the Constitution Working Group. The impact, for instance, on the LGPS is quite considerable, but also taking into account the review that took place in 2024, only one of those things have actually been taken forward, and that was the joining of the Audit and Standards Board, which has been undertaken. Otherwise, we're still looking at the other issues that the remuneration panel raised in 2024. And I think we should take the whole consideration in, that actually we either listen to what they say and discuss it openly and understand exactly the impact. And so I welcome that it goes to the Constitution Working Group.
Thank you, Councillor Dale, and thank you for allowing you to speak. It does say we would all probably love to have gone to the vote, but it does say in the agenda debate, and this is still hopefully a democracy. We will now move to the vote, please. All those in favour of the recommendations?
I think that's unanimous. We may just want to...
Okay, could we have those abstentions?
Against.
And against. One against.
One against.
That is well carried. There's no abstentions and one against. Thank you for that. Right. Item 11 on today's agenda is to consider the annual report from the Overview and Scrutiny Committee for Corporate Services and Economic Growth. Councillors, it's customary not to have questions on these type of reports, just to hear from the chairs to the committees. Before I invite Councillor Swinburne to present this report, please note this is for noting only. Councillor Swinburne.
Thank you, Chair. As you said, it's the interim report of the Corporate Services and Economic Growth Overview and Scrutiny Committee. Although this is an interim report, we are almost at the end of the year. If I could just firstly thank the Democratic Services officers and scrutiny officers for the work that they've done, and all officers for the reports that they've brought to our Scrutiny Committee. Also, my Vice Chair, Councillor Dungate, for the work that he's done, and there will be a report coming soon with the Task and Finish group. In line with the terms of reference, the majority of the reports that have come to Scrutiny Committee have been finance-based primarily, many of which have either come to full council or to the Audit Committee. Members will see a lot of the information on there, one of which was titled Fair Funding Review, and I think many members within this chamber would question the actual title of that, knowing what we know that is now being produced and the information that's come forward to this council. I would like to thank members for their robust questioning that's taken place on the items that have come forward, and bring forward this to this council. There is one more, as I say, meeting to come forward, which is later on this month, and I'll just present this report to council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor, for that. And can we all note that report? The final item on today's agenda is a report of the Chair of the Staff and Appointments Committee for the consideration of the approval of the creation of Director of Business Operations Centre. I would like to invite Councillor Nick Oliver to present this report. Councillor Oliver.
Thank you, Chair. So this report sets out, because of the level of the salary, it goes above the threshold, so it needs to be approved by full council. The proposal has already been to the all-party STAC group, and I think the recommendation of that group was to make the recommendation to proceed to full council. But just to set out the context, you'll all be aware of the BEST programme and the importance of that programme to delivering improved services and savings for the council. We are in the context is that we have rising demand for our key services. We've got a challenging funding environment, and we've got some very challenging savings targets that we all approved last month in the budget. This is a key role in delivering on all of those challenges. What we're trying to do is to protect core services and deliver them more efficiently. We have a lot of transactional services across the council that are sort of duplicated in different departments, and the proposal here is to bring them all together and do it more efficiently and have specialist departments providing those core basic transactional services across, I think, many different council services. So this is about doing things more efficiently, delivering better value for money for our residents, and the recommendations are set out on page 95.
Thank you, Councillor Oliver. I apologise if I'd been told in advance that you were giving the report. I would have had you sitting up here rather than have you back to the audience.
So seconded.
Do we need...
Seconded.
Seconded by Councillor Sanderson. The recommendations are on page 95. We now move on to debate. Does anybody wish to speak on this item? Councillor Hill and Councillor Dickinson.
Thank you, Chair. It's actually a question, but the answer to the question would help inform my view on voting for this or not. It's just, for the 5th year in a row, this council has been found to have the highest amount of numbers of staff being paid over £100,000. When this was put to the council a few years back, I think a couple of years back, the response was that was because of interim staffing arrangements, and the council was looking to move to reduce the number of staff on 100,000 plus salaries. What's the progress on that, and how does this new position affect the overall picture?
I can't answer specifically the detail of that question. What I do know is that the leader made a commitment some time ago to reduce senior level, top level salaries in the council, the overall cost. And we have delivered on that commitment. What I also know is that when we're recruiting into an important role, we have to take into account market conditions and a salary that will attract the right calibre of person. And I think that's what the STAC committee have done in this case. They've arrived at that with the job evaluation, discussion in an all-party group, and that group has made a recommendation to full council.
Thank you, Councillor Oliver. As Councillor Sanderson seconded the report, I will invite him to come back at the end if he wants to make comments. Councillor Dickinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just wanting to clarify from the MO, because you said that we're moving into debate, but these seem to be question and answer, so can you confirm?
It is debate.
Right. But will you allow a slight question since that we've just had that?
No, Councillor Dickinson, you just have to debate.
Shouldn't have pointed it out, should I?
No.
So it's quite a strange thing, this, because when you read the job description, and if I was able to be on the STAC committee, which I'm not, I could have asked it there, but I'm here. And when you read the job description, I look at this and I think it feels and sounds like what we said some of the external consultants were doing. So I'm wondering if you're moving from external support to internal support and whether that's included in this. I am nervous about another role that is paid at that value, but if it is, to replace external consultants that are very expensive, then my view on it may well change. I'm also wishing to get clarification, Chair, if I can, not directly a question, clarification, on whether this role, because I think it's important, this role is a role that was already in existence after the Penner review that we all voted for as a council for the new structure for this council, and whether that is still the structure we are working to, because there's multiple structures flying about that I don't clearly know which is which anymore. And if it is, are we simply looking at a name change? And if that's the case, I can't really understand why a name change is here. So there must be something else to it that isn't in the paperwork or that stands out. So if I could get some clarification, not questions or answers on that, that would be marvellous.
Yeah, so I can give you some clarification, and I think this is not directly replaced.
Sorry, it's debate. It's not question and answers.
Sorry.
So I'll bring in Councillor Sanderson
at
at the end. That was the cry from the back. I haven't seen any more. Councillor Robinson. Councillor Dale, you've already...
Sorry, Chair. Just listening to this one, and I'm trying to understand where this Director of Business Operations will fit and the role it entails. Because I'm hearing that whoever, if we appoint this person as Director of Business Operations, they're going to take over quite a bit of existing business from other directorships. Now, I believe that's what was said. Duplication, whatnot. So I'm wondering if there's going to be a corresponding decrease in the remuneration of those directorships to pay for this one.
Thank you, Councillor Robinson. Right, the last one before I bring Councillor Sanderson in is Councillor Dale.
Yeah, thank you. I sit on the staffing board, and I do think that actually maybe we could have a better clarification about what was discussed at the meeting. And Councillor Wearmouth, you were there, and Councillor Sanderson was. I think at the meeting, if you're clear, I asked for a framework, and staff went away, HR went away and did a really good framework about how it was going to work. And I would ask, please, that you send it to everybody, because nobody knows exactly how things are going to change, but also taking into account that we have lost some members of the higher level of service delivery. And I think that we need a proper explanation, because an awful lot of people, some people have left, we've got new people coming in, but actually the delivery of the whole service, we need to be very clear. And I think if we could have that plan, and it was sent to me, so you'll have it all, it actually clears up exactly where everything interacts, because it is clear, it is a good move forward, because there was too many transactions taking place within all directorates, so it would be helpful. So if you can have a look, could you send that out to everybody, and that would help.
Thanks, Councillor Dale. I will bring Councillor Ball because I missed a hand, and that is definitely the last one.
Thank you, Chair. So I will be abstaining on this because I have not once in all my days heard anybody on a doorstep say that we need more directors at Northumberland County Hall or we need more politicians. Since 2021, we're getting 2 more politicians, and we're here that we're not going to have more people on over 100k yet, and I do have concerns about this, so I will be abstaining because I just do not think it's the right time. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Ball. I'm going to bring in Councillor Sanderson as he seconded the report. Councillor Sanderson.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the questions and the debate about this. I agree. It is something that we don't want to see unless there is going to be a return. And there is going to be a return because we need to bring that expertise, but we also need to ultimately reduce the amount of consultants who are working with us in terms of delivering the best programme and delivering the efficiencies that we have to have. You all want Northumberland County Council to be run as a tight ship, and that is what this is about. And therefore, I'm happy to second this recommendation.
Thank you for that, Councillor Sanderson. Okay, councillors, you've heard the recommendations. Councillor Oliver.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I think questions have now become points of clarification, haven't they? It's sort of, I think Councillor Sanderson has just dealt with the sort of key issue around the consultancy. We are, as we move through the BEST programme, you know, consultants have been used where necessary, where we need the external expertise that doesn't exist within the council. But we are looking wherever possible to reduce that. And what we're looking for is permanent solutions to actually the challenges we face. There is a saving identified in this report of £1.3 million recurring, so that's every year. I think this role, the person that fulfills this role will be able to apply the skills that he or she brings into other areas within the wider BEST programme. And I'm afraid I wasn't at the meeting that Councillor Dale was at, so I can't really respond to her question because I didn't understand it. But I'm sure we will do that. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Oliver. Okay, councillors, you've heard the recommendations. Can we go to the vote? All those in favour? All those against?
Seven against.
And abstentions? Thank you, councillors. That is carried. We have no other items to consider. May I remind members that the next council meeting in May will begin at the later time of 3 p.m. Thank you for your time. Meeting closed.